You guys have been asking and asking. This is the Alien Framed Staple build tutorial. Welcome back, I'm Sherlock Holmes, and on this channel we do build tutorials like this, reviews, live streams, vlogs, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're new, make sure you're subscribed and press the bell so you get notified when we post new stuff. This is going to be a more advanced build tutorial. A lot of these concepts are borrowed from other builds, alien builds in particular. So I'm not going to cover prep and things like that. We're going to jump right into the actual build. If you're attempting this build, I'm assuming you already know how to build an alien or are comfortable with those principles. If you're not, click up there. You can go through my other alien build tutorials. We're using standard build tools. For our wire, I'm using 28 gauge for the frames, 0.4 by 0.1 for the ribbon. Both of those are Kanthal. And then I'm using 36 gauge stainless steel for the outer wrap. And I'll also need a 26 gauge, just one piece of 26 gauge. And that doesn't matter what kind of metal that is. You can use whatever metal you want. It doesn't matter what type. You can use stainless, nichrome, it doesn't matter. It's only going to change the resistance. So before you get into it with whatever metal you're using, make sure you know how that's going to affect the overall resistance of the build. There are a lot of different coil calculators and things like that that you can use to find out your resistance, so I'll link to one of those in the description. For my finished alien frame staples, each coil I want 6 wraps on a 3mm, and I want 6 pieces of ribbon in each with 2 frames. So it's going to go 28 gauge frame, 6 pieces of ribbon, other 28 gauge frame, all wrapped up nice and pretty in an alien wrapper. First thing I do is I prep out the materials. I'm going to take one 15-inch piece of 28 gauge off the spool, straighten it, set that aside, and then I'm going to take 3 16-inch pieces of the 0.4. I don't straighten them, but you can. If you want to straighten them, grab each end with a pair of pliers and just pull ever so slightly, just till you feel it just start to move, and it'll stay straight. As long as it's not super janky and jagged or anything like that, you should be fine. Then for the alien portion of the build, we're going to need that 26 gauge piece, and I'm gonna cut probably 20 inches. You should know how to make the decor alien, and if you don't, again, I'll reference you to my past videos on it. So I want to end up with probably a 20-inch piece of alien decor. That just gives me more than enough material to work with. We have our frames, we have our cores, and we have our alien. To get my core set, I start at the swivel end with my ribbon. I take my 3 16-inch pieces, line them up, thread them through the swivel, touch the ends together, and gently press and slide back up toward the swivel. And I let go of the end, holding at the swivel. As I'm pinching with my left hand, I grab the 28 frame with my right hand, thread that through as well. I take one end of that frame, match it down to the ribbon, pinch down at the bottom, grab the other end of the frame that's up in the air, bend that down, and pinch them all together. And at the swivel is where I'm going to kind of start lining it up, and it naturally does it by itself. So this is a feel thing, guys. You're just going to have to get used to this. Because of how they're looped, they're going to naturally stay where they want to stay. They're going to line up on top of each other. It's very, very simple. Just play with it. Be very gentle. You don't want to bend or warp these in any way. Once I've had them all folded down and have them flat, I throw a paper clip on there to keep everything snug. And from there, you can just pinch with pressure and start pulling out. To remove any kinks or anything like that, I pinch and wobble with my right hand. My left hand is between my right and the swivel. That is just pinched and not moving. With my right hand, I kind of just rock it back and forth, lightly pinching. That helps line everything up by itself. As I work my way down, I'll throw in one paper clip just to support the middle. When I get down to the end, I'll clean them up, snip them so they're nice and straight and flush, no jagged edges. And I just tie that up with a piece of scrap wire. Once everything's secure, I'm going to install it into the chuck. Make sure you center this. You want this as centered as possible. You don't want the teeth of the chuck to like mash up your cores. There's many different ways to do this on either end. You can use glue sticks, you can tie them, whatever works best for you. This is just the way that I do it, and that works best for me. So if you have to modify this in any way, go ahead. There's no like one right way to do it. It's however it works best for you. So get your core set. Once we have it set, we're ready to roll. Now I do a half no stretch method. I have my D-core and I just give it a little tug just to start loosening it up. And then from there, it's all feel. There's no tip, trick, or secret method to do this. That's just like, if you do A, B, and C, this is how it works. It's really about feel, guys. So this is just gonna be a ton of practice. I highly recommend when you're learning this build, just bust out a shitload of D-cores and a bunch of the cores, because it's easier to just keep resetting it and trying than having to go through the whole process over and over again. Couple pointers here though, as you're holding the D-core, hold your hand anywhere between 12 and 15 inches away from the actual chuck, away from the D-core. That extra distance will help compensate for little errors in angle and tension. The wider your build is, the less of an angle you want. You want to be closer to 90 degrees with a wider build. So with an Alien Fused Clapton, you're gonna lead quite a bit toward the swivel, right? So closer to a 45 as opposed to a 90. With the frame staple, the Alien Framed Staple, because it's wider, you want more of a 90-degree angle. Obviously not completely 90 because it'll start wrapping back onto itself. Lead just slightly. And that's, again, why you have your hand back, is because it'll help compensate and give you a better chance of success. Wrapping this, angle and tension that you're putting on the D-core as it slides through your fingers to the core. I hold it between my index finger and my thumb and just use varying levels of pressure to give me the stretch that I need as it wraps the core. I highly recommend when you're first learning this, use a lot more material than you're gonna need for your finished product. That way in the beginning, you can kind of play with your distance, your angle, and your pressure to find out what's gonna work best for you. Unfortunately, that's really all that I can tell you here. The rest of it is just you practicing, and you're gonna have to figure it out. Once you start getting the hang of the feel, your next biggest hurdle is going to be moving the paper clip. So ideally you'll do this without any kind of stabilization in the middle or across the core. But my best suggestion for if you do stabilize, when it comes time to hit that paper clip, before you have to move that, don't ever release your D-core hand. Keep that locked exactly where it is. Don't move it. So when you're going down and you reach the paper clip, take your hand off the drill, don't move your D-core hand. Grab the paper clip, push it down, and then go back at it. That's it, guys. That's the Alien Framed Staple. This is a fantastic build, one of my favorites for flavors and for clouds. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I want to know if you guys have any tips to pass on to other people or a better way of doing it. Not the easiest build, but it does get easier. Once you get that feel down, you'll be cruising right through them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and press the bell so you get notified when we post new content. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm Sherlock Holmes, and I'll see you in the next video.